Welcome to another edition of Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. You know what it is. SP3 is here by my side, and it's not a Wednesday. It's been put forward to a Tuesday, and that would be because it's Christmas week, and we won't be here Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So you've still got all your favorite co-hosts, but they've come forward today. SP3, how are things, my man?
I am doing well. As you see, I'm in a festive spirit. So happy holidays to everyone out there. Merry Christmas. And we have a good episode, a fun one coming up for everyone at home.
I feel like you and I are pushing the envelope of Christmas spirit whenever we're on screen together.
We're in sync today. We have a certain synergy every time we're on screen together.
Well, listen, everyone knows that I've brought some serious jumpers to the table in the past couple of weeks. But this one, SP3 bought for me for Christmas, right? You ready? Is everyone ready for the great reveal? I know you can see the bobble already, man. It is a reindeer! Look how nice that is! I feel like that movie where Jonah Hill was like really high on drugs and he's like, let me just stroke the fur. Get him to the Greek. Is that it?
Yeah, scratch the furry wall.
Yeah.
I just showed my girl that the other
day. Let me tell you. Fantastic.
I have on a full bodysuit this week.
That's right.
Full body. This is what I do to get a pop out of my twins.
I mean, that's a dub right there. I mean, you've got that's a real commitment. I can't argue with it. If there's one thing you know you'll get with SP3 and I, it is Christmas love. And let me tell you, next week when all four of us are on the show and SP3 and I are bringing our top tier jumpers, I've got one artist. I'm ready, man. I am ready, and it is wrestling themed. I will let you know that much. So yeah. Anyway, as SP3 says, we do have a good show in store today. Of course, we're going to talk about what happened on Raw last night. A bit of the fallout between that and TLC, but also we're going to discuss. I'm not going to call it debate. We're going to discuss who is the best of the four horsewomen. That is one of the most difficult eternal questions in wrestling. But Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and of course Charlotte Flair. We're going to discuss who is the best and what the pros, what the cons. And as SP3 was telling me, we were discussing this earlier, and that's why I don't want to say it's a debate, because I was like, I don't want to commit to any of them because all of them have really got strong points, right? Like it's very hard to cut. I don't want to put any of the others down because they're all so amazing. But we're going to try and cut through it anyway and come up with a winner. That will be later on in the show. Of course, we need to get your ultra chats in. We've got one to kick off with Matthew McCoskey, which we will get to in a moment. He's always first, that guy. Can't knock that. But you know what to do, guys. You see it at the bottom there. WrestleTalk.com/Wrestle2. And then you guys can give us your hot takes, your opinions, whatever they are. And we will discuss them, talk about them, get them out there in the big, wide world. Why? Everyone's making a good point here. You're not Louis Dangle.
I tried messaging you in the private chat. I was like, it says Louis Dangle for me. I was like, Louis got a nice tan. He's wearing a reindeer suit today. You know.
I mean, yeah. He got great eyesight. He got everything basically overnight. True, he's in the house. Don't worry about it, guys. We're back. Don't rely on me to man a ship. Also, there's some news coming out of WWE in recent days. Of course, we've seen Kevin Green pass away as well, former WCW guy. There's different people talking about different things in terms of Dana Brooke and her stop-start push, commenting on that. Peyton Royce as well. Like a couple of different guys. Kayfabe, is it not? Who knows? There's a few different things going on of people talking about their spots in WWE. SP3, man, let's kick it off with an ultra chat, right? And then we'll pivot back. Yeah. We'll pivot back to Raw. Let's give Matthew McCoskey his day in the sun. He says, hello, Alex and SP3. No bang brains today. Okay. I mean, our brains have been given a sexual break. That's good. I'm asking about NBA since it's opening day. Draft a starting 5, all-star team, 2 guards, 2 forwards. I know how to draft a 5. Yeah, he's breaking it down. 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a big man. Could be a power forward at center. You're trying to play small ball, okay. And the chat will decide who has the better team. And go Lakers! I don't know if Matt even knows this, but SP3 does. I am a Laker.
I am as well.
So we've got no issues with that. I assume we're talking about present day all-star teams. I know I'm going to make this quick because I can imagine there's not a lot of people in the chat who actually care for this, but I know our American friends probably do, and I do. I'm going to work. Oh, man. Can I have LeBron at point?
Yeah, you can. He's playing point guard the last 2 seasons.
I'm having LeBron at point. I'd have Luka at the 2. Even though I like Spider. Giannis, obviously, at the 3. Davis at the 4. My God, that's good. And who would I have at the 5, man? I mean, Embiid is like... I'm tempted to have, like, Davis at the 5. You know what I mean? And, like, open it up a little bit. But, oh, man. We got SP3. Help me out here. Having said that, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to move Davis to the 5, and I'm going to have Kawhi at the 4.
You didn't leave much for me. Like you picked like the 5 best players in the league. I'm gonna go Luka.
Yeah.
No. You said Luka, so I'm gonna pick people different. I'm gonna pick people different. I'm gonna go with the Joker at center. I'm gonna go my point since he's healthy now. Stephen Curry. My 2, even though he's out of weight, overweight. I'm gonna say James Harden. At 3, I'll go Jimmy Butler because man, he gave my Lakers fits in the finals.
Yeah.
And power forward. Power forward. That's a difficult one.
It is difficult. I mean, you got like Kristaps. You could put Paul George in there.
I can't go Paul. That's my most hated player, Paul George.
Oh, me too. Now, don't worry about that.
That would be against everything I believe in to pick Paul George.
What about like like Cat at center maybe, and then you can kind of
that's actually a good one. I'll actually go with Ben Simmons at power forward, and I think that he would be better suited at power forward. Plus, he would cause a lot of mismatches due to his way to dribble. So I'll go with Ben Simmons at the 4.
It's so weird in this day and age. Like if you're a guard that can't hit the 3, and I think that's kind of what everyone says about Simmons. Like, I don't know. Like I said, there's loads of players that I love. Like I think Trae Young is I love watching Trae Young. The guy just is deadly. Man, there's a ton of great players in here. I love the NBA, but go Lakers is basically my that's our residual message here. Tempest is in here with the Raptors, the damn Canadian. Man, Kawhi got the chip and went. He said, no, that's it for me. Kyle Lowry as well, man. Jesus. But Siakam and all that lot, they're still good. They still got it. They still got it.
They'll be in the playoff race.
Yeah, I was about to say, the Raptors are like that, aren't they? They're like a residual playoff team, basically. It seems weird, though. Like, do you remember the many years it was just DeRozan and Lowry? And, like, they just couldn't get past that. And then Kawhi comes in for 1 year and he's like, hey, man, let's just win a championship.
And then I'm out.
And then I'm off. Anyway, enough NBA chat. Like, I know you didn't come to the Wrestling Daily for that, as much as I do enjoy it. Let's do another ultra chat from Mike Jensen. He's been getting consistent with these ultra chats, has old Michael. Is it possible that the Miz cashed in a ham sandwich and Otis still has the contract since the lawsuit was for the Money in the Bank briefcase, not specifically the contract? Mike, that would be a fun swerve if that was the case. I don't think it is, but I think WWE were desperate to do anything to kind of get it off Otis, basically, which is remarkable considering they put it on him in the first place. Like WWE love to do that to themselves, don't they? Where they're like put themselves in a corner and they go, what are we going to do now? So yeah, I would say no. And this is the whole thing. Like, so it's kind of in our title today. Let's jump onto it, SP3. The Miz was making a claim on Raw that he didn't really cash in because Morrison cashed in for him. Technically, Miz believes only he can cash in. Therefore, the cash in was not valid, and thus he should regain the Money in the Bank briefcase. We don't know as of this moment if that is the direction or not, but it's interesting that Miz is kind of pursuing this line of thought. He won his latest legal battle. He might win another. What do you think the deal is here?
I mean, I just want to say that Omos is the smartest man in the WWE. This man knew what Riddle's rabbit's name was. He knew that John Morrison cashed in Money in Bank and not The Miz. So he's the smartest man in the room, it seems like. But The Miz has his ways of connecting with the USA executives, and in a courtroom, he was the whole reason Mandy Rose is on Monday Night Raw. He was the whole reason he got the Money in the Bank briefcase. So it is not out of the realm of possibility that The Miz can get back the Money in the Bank briefcase. Do I want him to? That's a totally different story. I do not. I am over Money in the Bank. It's a watch for this year. And, I've been seeing a lot on social media. It's when you say certain things and you're like, that happened this year. Do you remember that one of the best storylines going into WrestleMania was Otis, Mandy, Dolph Ziggler, and Sonya Deville? And that seems like it was years ago, but WWE wanted to get that briefcase off of Otis because they overthought it. They was like, let's go with the hot hand. He's just coming off this good storyline that we did at WrestleMania. So let's give him the Money in the Bank briefcase. But they never took it seriously. He was never involved in any main event angles. And then they put it on The Miz, who they have totally devalued. And a memory that feels like it was a decade ago was when The Miz was the hottest heel in the WWE in 2016, even 2017, when he went from SmackDown to even Raw, when he was on Raw with the Mr. Raj against guys like Dean Ambrose and The Shield. He was still one of the top heels, and anything he did felt important. But I don't know if it was the Shane McMahon storyline and then turning him back heel from there. Yes, you thought I forgot that one too. And putting John Morrison with him, they've totally devalued him to make him a comedy act, where putting the Money in the Bank briefcase on him was like a slight upgrade, but it was like going from a 2 to a 3, not really up to at like a 5 or an above average. So this Money in the Bank this year just feels like a lost cause.
Yeah, it's a wash. That's, you said it yourself. It is a wash. I feel like they made a mistake in the early going, and they did think that. They thought, Otis is hot right now, and then they didn't really use him, or they couldn't, in some instances, use him on SmackDown. Didn't really get any momentum. Probably had some buyer's regret early on with that decision. They then pivot to The Miz. And again, if you believe WrestleVotes, again, with no real direction of whether they were going to allow him to be the champion or not. They were still debating what to do with the cash-in as of last week. So, man, The Miz, he's good at what he is. And I'm glad that he kind of had his moment in the sun at WrestleMania 27, 8, whichever one it was. I'm glad that he had that and he had his run. Am I gagging for him to have another? I wouldn't have minded it if when he was real hot in 2016-17, I would have took that on SmackDown as a protagonist or whatever, and I would have took it when Daniel Bryan returns as well. If that was the setup you were going to do, I would have gone with it. Now, with Reigns and McIntyre and people like that, come on, not for me. I feel like don't overthink it again, WWE. I get it, it's fine to do this story because it makes sense that someone like him would try and do this, right? Slimy mother man. But I just hope that they don't actually go through with it too much. Let's just leave that in the dust. All right. Speaking of lawyers, Chris G says, I need Mrs. Lawyer in about 2 or 3 months.
Of course. With his joints and jabronis, he always needs a good lawyer in his back pocket.
I'm just going to assume that hopefully it's just possession and not possession with, intent to distribute. I don't know. Hey, Chris G, I don't know how much you had on you, brother. I don't know. Anyway, we love Chris G. So moving along, man, let's talk about Raw. And I watched it this morning, so not actually live, but not long after. Like, my kids woke me up about 5 a.m. and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to watch it. So first thing I see, obviously, Charlotte Flair and Asuka, and then the tag teams come out. We got Nia, we got Shayna, we got Dana, and we got Mandy, which leads to a tag match with the champs at ringside. What I will say is, I thought Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke looked really good. Like, that was one of, not one of, it was their best outing, but even singularly, probably their best outings to date in the ring. I thought they looked very, very good. And they didn't, it wasn't any kind of job to Shayna and Nia. I'm glad that Shayna as well was the one that got the job done. So, to me, it was kind of a successful segment, but really, the story is, it's already being laid there with, I don't know if you see it the way Charlotte looks to Asuka when she picks up both belts and stuff like that. Like, it's already kind of happening. That is the story, Asuka and Charlotte. But, they're going to be defending the titles on SmackDown this week. They're clearly going to make the most of it while they're tag champions, which I'm all for, because the tag belts seem to be wildly forgotten a lot of the time. I think, obviously, like I said, the central part of the story is Charlotte and Asuka. So I hope that as many people can feel the rub as humanly possible in this space of time, SP3.
Yeah, I'm totally with that. I know the story is about Charlotte and Asuka, but if it's going to help elevate the women's tag team division and the women's division overall, I'm all for it. I did not enjoy that opening segment. I felt like a lot of the dialogue was awkward. I was okay with Charlotte, saying that, Asuka is her friend, even though she didn't sound like a heel. Didn't sound like a babyface at all. She said, if a friend asks me and there's something in it for me, I will always come through as long as they ask. So I like the fact that it's still Charlotte Flair character that we've gotten used to, but it's definitely not a babyface. And then I just felt like when it was Charlotte and Asuka, it was okay. And then the dialogue was just all over the place and very awkward. Dana and Mandy with the bad joke talking about Shayna and Nia looking different this week. It was just, oh my God. And this was a theme on Monday Night Raw to be. I don't know if I was expecting something more because of the record low ratings, but it just seemed like overall, with the only exception being the Alexa and Randy Orton promo segment, every promo segment was some of the worst dialogue that I've heard on WWE television in quite some time. And the number one at that list, I will say ahead of time, was Riddle, because WWE have never been around anyone that smokes weed before, because that's not how they talk.
No, that they, like, collective. The Riddle was. Do you know what? Riddle was that bad that Jeff Hardy was the anchor of that promo, and Jeff Hardy is a terrible promo. So I like. Well, traditionally he is anyway. I can't argue with that. I think the last few weeks of Raw have been just like, especially when it comes to the dialogue, right, the scripting and stuff, and the jokes. That's one thing WWE haven't nailed in a long, long time. It's jokes. Like, I don't know who they've got right in there. I really don't. But the jokes are dreadful, especially like if there was a crowd there. Like, this is still not good, and they're piping in like the laughs and the cheers. Imagine the crickets if they were doing this live. Oh my word! I'd imagine the crowd would go, oh, like not even silence. They'd be like, come on. It really isn't. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. To be fair, we will get to it, but the Randy and Alexa segment for me was money right there. I still don't know how the hell they change as quick as they do. But obviously all of my opening comments here were all about the match as opposed to the build with the promos. But you're right, they're not good. And speaking of like the reactionary changes, the only one we've got at the moment is this Legends show in 2 weeks, really. And I don't know why WWE, I do know why, because they pop a rating. But WWE, that seems, instead of actually addressing what's wrong, they go, well, maybe they've gone, it's the end of the year. What are we going to do? Let's just wheel out some legends. And they haven't even really, they've got Hulk and they've got Rick. Yeah, they haven't really wheeled out all of the legends SP3, have they? Like, it's not, you haven't got like Steve Austin in the house or anything like that. I that's not the answer, man. Like, am I going to watch it? Yeah, but that isn't the answer at all, and it's just disappointing. Like I was saying last week, this is another thing that's been misconstrued on Twitter yesterday. People just like, basically, I get tagged in stuff sometimes that I'm not even aware of. People are just talking about me, like, oh, Alex said this, and I'm like, okay, and it popped up yesterday, and it was like, oh, he was wrong about the Raw report, where USA wanted more adult content, and I didn't reply because this is another thing I've learned on Twitter as well, is that you go down so many rabbit holes where you try and talk to people that actually can't be spoken to. Not everyone is like the good eggs here on the Wrestling Daily who actually can hold a dialogue. This person had already said he was wrong, and I was like, you haven't even seen the next Raw yet. Like, how can it possibly be wrong? Like, just because Meltzer was like, I think he'd said on his message board that he doubted it or something. And it was like, but just purely on that, they went, well, it's wrong. But what? You can't possibly know that yet because you haven't seen it. And then since then, a man was set on fire, which I personally think was always in the offing anyway. But still, the crux of the report is that that's what USA were hoping WWE do. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen at all. At the end of the day, WWE don't have to take USA's word for it. I mean, if they're wise, they collaborate, right, with their network. But they don't have to, it's like USA are going to go, do you know what? Ratings are in a slump. Let's make Tucker the champ. The WWE don't go, oh, shit, better put the strap on Tucker then. Like, that's not how it works. And that's basically what the report was saying, is that that's what USA's end were thinking could be a good fix for WWE. That doesn't mean it's going to happen at all. But they were unhappy about the rating, obviously, which I think Dave actually said as well. So I stand by the report. That's the bottom line there. Anyway, so moving through Raw, I'm just going to get the positives out of the way, and we're very close to the end. But I thought that MVP and Lashley and the Hardy Bros, awful promo. I thought the match was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I think that Riddle and Hardy actually make a very interesting tag team. Like, it just works, and you don't see too many times a tag team specialist like Jeff Hardy work with just anybody, but it just works with Riddle in the ring because their styles kind of fit each other. So I did enjoy that match. Like I said before, I really enjoyed the Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton, because if you're gonna say corny promos, you're going to make corny jokes, at least laugh at it afterwards. At least give me a reaction. And that's why Alexa Bliss's performance was on the money, and it just worked. Oh, he's going to eat his favorite food, barbecue. It just works. And she just plays this Harley Quinn character so perfectly well. And Randy Orton's like the perfect foil for her. So that was an awesome segment. And I did enjoy the tag team matchup, the action in the tag team matchup, not necessarily the story, but the action in the main event with Keith Lee, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, AJ, Miz, and Morrison. The whole teams not getting along, and then the dissension between Lee and Sheamus, plus the action that was going on, that worked for me. So those are my biggest positives from Raw last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. You've just said it there. Like, so basically, that's what 4 things that I really liked about a 3-hour show. I don't think that's enough. WWE obviously have to do better than that. When I was watching Elias and Riker, and then the 24/7 people get involved, I'm thinking, what? Like, what? I don't want to watch Riker squash someone either. That's an entirely missable segment. I thought Randy Orton and Alexa was great. Now we might as well talk about that a little bit in detail, because what is going to happen with the Fiend? Obviously, he's not dead per se. Alexa was kind of there to let us know that, but she did say he's going to come back kind of more evil than ever. Does that mean he's still the Fiend, or is he like an evolved version? It's very interesting to know that isn't the end of it. And of course, like Randy thought it was the end of it. And I'm sure there are some people that wish it was. But I still feel, and I said this last week, that the end of this story has to be where Bray Wyatt is the victor. Like, he has to get retribution. There should be like a jingle when I say that or something. That he has to get that sort of satisfaction, because I've said this, every step of his rivalry with Randy Orton ever, he's been on the losing end. His house was burnt down. He lost his title at WrestleMania. He was burnt to death, to a cinder, gone, a flame. And what's happened to Randy? Nothing. So yes, to elaborate on that, I don't think that he's the Fiend is done, and I do think that he will get his comeuppance on Randy. But it's going to be interesting how they time it, because the Rumble is coming up, of course, and Edge's return, I can't imagine is that far away.
Yeah, I mean, that I tweeted out after the match, I was like, if this leads to the Firefly Funhouse with Orton and the Fiend Bray Wyatt, I'm all for it, because I would love to see Orton in his old school blue and yellow trunks. I would love to see references to him taking a dump in a bag, and Legacy and Evolution parodies. That would be great for me. But it takes away from what we've already known.
Don't forget the handshakes.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if everyone in the comments is aware of Randy Orton's handshakes, but give it a little Google. Trust me.
Yeah. Dick shakes. So I would love to see those type of references, because they would be great. But we know that it's going to be Edge and Randy Orton, especially if Edge is healthy enough to be at WrestleMania. That match makes a whole lot of sense. So it doesn't leave that much room for them to have like a big return match. That's why I think they're gonna rush the Fiend back. We're gonna see a different version of the Fiend. Probably Royal Rumble would be like the perfect kind of big show for them to have their final matchup. But like you said, this is the most one-sided feud in the history of the WWE. This man burned down his house. He played with the ashes of his dead sister. He then took his title, totally unfazed by his mind games of projecting worms and other disgusting things on the ring. He invaded his house of horrors and beat him to the arena at that match. even though Bray won, he didn't even win the title back. So did he really win? Did he ever get his win back? Not really. And then he gets burned to a cinder. And the crimes of Randy Orton in his WWE career are plentiful. It's ridiculous how many crimes that he has gotten away with. Like Braun Strowman, I think you guys said yesterday, Braun Strowman got suspended for hitting an official, but Randy Orton is able to cut a promo after burning a man alive. And the fact that that promo didn't come until 2 hours into the show, it just blew my mind. Like, I was like, I'm all for Charlotte Flair being a star, and I understand starting the show with her because of return. But the last image of a pay-per-view was a man being burned alive. If there was ever a week for Randy Orton to kick off the show, this was the week.
Yeah. I mean, he's literally committed probably like 3 or 4 crimes just in this feud alone, let alone what he's done throughout his career. But, the thing that we've learned here, if Bray Wyatt was a referee, maybe there'd be some ramifications, or a WWE official. But apparently if you're a wrestler, murder is okay. That is a plausible outcome in a feud. So
you've seen multiple cases of attempted murder in 2020. You had a great tweet earlier today documenting that.
Well, I was writing a feature for TalkSport. We're basically like writing a lot of features to then have go out over Christmas, because there's not many people work over Christmas. And one of them was like the 5 craziest things that happened in WWE this year. And I was like, Jesus, as I was doing my research, I didn't even have to do much research, just going back through it. And then I remembered the tentacle monster in the garbage with Street Profits. And the War Raiders, when they're literally in there and there's just these flailing tentacles come out for no reason at all.
Nope.
Never to be seen again. Yeah, just the one night only tentacle monster, as you would. Can't even explain that. I'm not even going to try and explain it. I was about to, but I'm not. I'm not going to do it. But I had stuff like, Rey Mysterio's eye, obviously, Bray Wyatt getting set on fire, Braun Strowman drowning, only to re-emerge. He tried to explain it on the following SmackDown, but Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black being thrown off a roof. Only onto another roof, apparently. But at the time, it was like the commentators were like, "Oh my god!" Like, do you know what I mean? They were like, "Oh my god, he's off the roof!" Oh, anyway, AJ Styles is going for that. They just pivoted back from a 70-foot drop to like, "Oh well, let's see AJ Styles get this, get this arm drag in over here." It was just a bit, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't get me wrong, I love the crazy shit that WWE does, but yeah, they really went for it this year, man.
We saw a man buried alive. We saw a man burned alive. We saw men thrown off of a roof and never to be seen again, presumably dead. The Good Brothers, or the OC, because I don't know. The Good Brothers and the OC, they could be two totally different people. Who knows?
Could be.
We've seen a lot of outrageousness in the WWE. So, for everything that we say about creative, they were creative in 2020. We saw new things. At least there was that.
I mean, by its very definition, I guess it's creative. I mean, is it ostensibly good? That's another question, man. Anyway, guys, the Ultra Chats have been coming in, so let's get to them before we hit up our debate. Man, there's a lot of Ultra Chats. Matty the Hot Scott, how you doing, man? Hey, Alex. Hey, service provider free. Or maybe Louis. I can tell when you sent this in then. I missed last night's show, so just want to say that Owens versus Reigns absolutely ruled. SP3, that Christmas jumper is the best thing I've ever seen. What kind of life have you led, Matty? The best thing you've ever seen? My Lord. It's great, though. And also, it's a onesie, right? SP3?
Yes.
Right. There you have it.
It's very comfortable.
I bring clarity on this show. Raw reactionary changes equals legends, right? Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, we touched on this a little bit earlier, Matty, but you're very right to make the point because that seems to be what Vince McMahon thinks. I believe, I could be wrong, and I need to check the date. Didn't we already have a Legends show this year?
I believe.
Or was it last year?
No.
I feel like we had it early this year.
I think maybe in January. I think that's maybe their thing for January to bring back the Legends because there was, I think you're right, there was a show where Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan were on the same show. So
and Austin was there.
Yeah. So I just think that Vince, he has a panic button mode, and his go-to button to push on panic button mode is nostalgia. He always goes for nostalgia. That's the first, the second, the third, and the last button he always chooses when he is in a panic. And is this very much surprising? Not really. I think we talked about it with the whole WrestleVotes of, give me a list of competitors that are underutilized. I'll rip this up. Just bring back Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. And you know what? Alicia Fox and Carlito, they're legends too. Bring those guys back as well.
Although Carlito is super cool. What I will say is that's what I think of the underutilized report that WrestleVotes put out. And I like WrestleVotes normally, but I just think that's laughable that Vince McMahon went, hey guys, tell me, who am I not using? Come on now. Also, we got another Ultra Chat. I mean, I just wanted, before I move on, make sure that I got everything that Matty talked about. Owens and Reigns. Yeah, man, of course that ruled. Like I said about this yesterday, Owens put in maybe his best babyface performance to date. It is not easy to outshine Roman Reigns right now, and that's exactly what Kevin Owens did for my money, SP3. What did you make of it, man?
I thought that match was phenomenal. Just a great performance from both guys. Roman Reigns' character work, his facial expressions, body language, he just gets it. He just knows what he has to do at the very right time. Jey Uso, I think, had a great performance as well, where you saw that he still is that resilient type of character where he came back from the knee injury. The only thing that's really changed for him is his intentions. Instead of going against his cousin, he's trying to protect his cousin. So they made the slight changes to his character, but not too much to go against what he was before. So I love that little touch of it. There was a lot of nuance to it, but like you said, the MVP, in my opinion, of the entire TLC pay-per-view was Kevin Owens. That it was his best babyface performance in WWE history. As someone that's seen him before WWE and Ring of Honor and PWG, it might be the best babyface performance of his entire career. It was that good, and he just kept coming back, very valiant, and he was just on point in every way.
I am super ready for Jimmy Uso to get back as well. And for that link up to happen, as I said, Jey Uso told me a couple of months ago, before Clash of Champions, I think it was, that he's meant to be around January, like meant to be making his return from his ACL problems. So, man, the Heel Usos is one of my favorite tag teams of the last decade. Like, they were killing it in 2016. I can't wait to see them align with Roman Reigns once again. I think that'll take things on to yet another level. Let's get to another Ultra Chat here from Bacon Russia. Hey, man, an elite good egg right there. Hi, Alex and SP3. So my hot take is Miz gets his Money in the Bank back as Morrison cashed it in and he wins the WWE title. Also, did you see my Ultra Chat earlier on Raw Review about Wrestling Daily versus 4 from WrestleTalk in War Games? SP3 put it in my head. Hashtag SP3. Hashtag jam that jam. Man, I think we're pretty formidable, SP3. I don't know if they want that smoke.
I mean, we have what I called you on our TLC roundtable on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, the head of the Mount Rushmore of wrestling media. You are that to me. And then you got Louis, who is connected to Google. He is the youth movement of Wrestling Daily. You got Stephanie.
Hang on. The best you could do for Louis was he's connected to Google.
He's connected to Google. He's a former Quizlemania champion. In my opinion, he took down some of the stiffest competition on that show when he won the championship.
Yeah,
so
he's very good. Very good.
He breaks the news. He's got his exclusive. This man is doing his thing. Steph with the hot takes, and no one knows AEW and New Japan like Steph. And then me, I just watch way too much wrestling. So I think that our foursome will take down any other foursome, and it's stiff competition when it comes to the rest of WrestleTalk. Luke is a former multi-time Quizlemania champion. Ali Davis is the boss, so he could just push a button. He's like Vince; he could panic button push and just get every answer correct. And then Pete is very knowledgeable himself, so we would have some stiff competition. But I think we are the undisputed era, or the 4 horsemen of War Games in Quizlemania.
I like it. Listen, I fancy myself as both showings I've had on Quizlemania have been strong showings, but not good enough, right? The only person that I don't think I could take is, or I would worry about, is Tempest. Very much so. He is legit, extraordinarily knowledgeable, like to a staggering degree. Luke is good too, by the way, but other than that.
Tempest is fierce competition, but like I've said before, I am challenging him. I'm throwing down the gauntlet for Quizlemania. We can be the Okada Omega of Quizlemania, me versus Tempest.
I would like to see it. I'm not going to lie. I would like to see it. What else have we got going on in the Ultra Chats? First of all, let's go back to Bacon Rasher and what he said in terms of the cash-in and becoming WWE champ. I hope you're wrong, Bacon Rasher. Please don't take that personally. But it's feasible. But I do think that they are all aboard the Drew bus right now. I really do. I really feel like they're proper behind him. And this Sheamus story that is rolling on, yeah, I think WWE have already got their direction set on that one. The rudders have already begun to set in motion. Scott Young has dropped an Ultra Chat. Hey, Scott. Why do you think people take reports as gospel? Like last week when Otis said that he wasn't sent to the PC, people called him a liar because Meltzer said otherwise. I'd rather believe someone who is actually in WWE than Dave. Well, I think that's a given. Especially with like Otis is. I can't. There's no reason why he would lie. Like sometimes superstars may lead you elsewhere to protect something, right? Like they're trying to keep their character, or there's plans afoot and they don't want to tell you everything, so they might lie to you. But Otis seemed to be extremely candid when he was talking to Ryan Satin. In Meltzer's defense, I know he has said it, but so did PW Insider. Like it's not just him on that one. But it goes back to what I said earlier. Like just because Dave says something, or anyone for that matter, even doesn't make it so. Like you have to look at the evidence and everything else that comes out, which is why my favorite method of journalism, as it were, is doing it in the interviews, getting it from the horse's mouth. Like, like I don't mean to keep plugging it, but the AJ Styles one I did last week, so much news came out of that, and it's from AJ. Like, you don't need me to kind of go, oh, I've heard, or sources say. Like, AJ is telling you. Like, what more can a journalist do than give it to you direct from the source? And there's a lot of vagueness in the wrestling world where it's like sources say, and it always feels a little dirty to kind of say that, to do those reports. But of course, for some things, there's no other way around it. But you got to remember as well. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. When Dave said that Enzo and Cass were coming back to WWE, right? Dave isn't consciously lying. He's not like, he hasn't gone, this would be a great report. Someone has obviously fed him that information, and he's got to make the decision at that time whether he trusts where it comes from. He's not like, he's never trying to lead people astray or just make stuff up for the sake of it. Obviously, that one turned out to be wrong, and then he acknowledged it fairly quickly. Like, and this is not me taking any shots at him at all. I greatly respect what he's done and opened many doors for guys like me. I'm just saying that's an example, and he's a high-profile guy. But again, it goes back to the way people interpret it sometimes, and they're like, oh, why did you make that up? Like, Ryan Satin didn't make up that Sasha Banks and Bayley were crying on the floor at WrestleMania. Like, okay, it wasn't true, but he didn't just sit there and go, oh, somebody obviously told him that, and he trusted the wrong person. That's the problem, right? Like, and that's what you have to make out. And I think Tempest is actually on the right lines here, where he says, is it because wrestlers and people in wrestling lie, whereas reporters like Dave can't make the decision to lie? He may be wrong, but he will likely say so afterwards. It's like Ryan Satin obviously said at the time, like, yeah, I was wrong. And obviously he probably didn't understand the gravity of what he was saying either, in terms of how it would affect the people that he was reporting on. And that's always a balancing act and a problem. And that's why you have to kind of, everyone is capable of lying, unfortunately. And as a journalist's job, when you report something, you have to just, again, you want more than one person. You want multiple sources. You want to attack the story from multiple angles. You have to think about all of that before clicks and things of that nature. So, I can't even remember really what the main point I was making here. But essentially, it's that, people can get stuff wrong. And I don't think, going back to what this Ultra Chat says, where he says, Meltzer said otherwise or whatever. Like, I'm sure Meltzer believed what he was told. I don't think he's like trying to say anything bad about Otis or whatever. So you're going to get that in wrestling sometimes, is the bottom line. You're going to get conflicting stuff, and you just have to go with who has the highest batting average. That's basically my take on it. Luckily for me, like in the past week or so, the Charlotte stuff has come out and looked nice. Like, she's come back when I said she'd come back, and other people said SummerSlam and stuff. So I'm doing okay until the next one. I think there's always the next one that could be wrong, and that's the thing, as the old plans change, brother. Anyway, that is for some reason I really opened up on reporting there, but there you have it. Anyway, Mario Painesville Dan says, hi guys, you are the best. Well, there you go, SP3. Maybe I should just end the Ultra Chat there.
There you go.
That's it. What if Waylon Mercy, the father of the Eater of Worlds, returns on Raw's Legends Night and summons the dead Fiend Bray Wyatt? Wow. You know what? I've actually said this before, SP3. I'm surprised that Bray Wyatt's kind of lineage in the business isn't ever acknowledged. Like, And I know in FCW, Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt were a tag. They weren't called that, but they were a tag. Yeah. But in the main roster, like, they never even acknowledged that they're brothers. The commentary team have never even said, like, it staggers me that Bo Dallas sits on the sideline doing nothing. Like, you can make an easy program for Bray Wyatt for a couple of months by, like, turning and recruiting his brother the same way Roman has done with Jey Uso, by the way. Don't know why they haven't ever done that, or they might not be interested. As in Bo, I don't know. Surely he would be. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea, SP3. And I'm talking about the Ultra Chat, not mine.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind Waylon Mercy getting involved, resurrecting the dead, but I definitely agree with you. I've been saying it for years that Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt should have had some type of connection or some type of story, whether that was him joining the Wyatt family, whether now he could join the Firefly Funhouse and play one of the puppets come to life or something like that. Put a mask on him if you don't see anything in his face. If Vince is like treating him like Christian and he rather a blue dot over Bo Dallas's face, then do something with him. Don't just have him on the sideline. You're paying him, might as well use him in something. And that seems like something that is creative that he can get involved in. So,
yeah, I like it. It makes all the sense in the world to me. And we've got one from CM Chris here. Good evening, Alex and SP3 Reindeer. What is SP3's two fave belts of all time? Is a question from yesterday, of course. And a question for Alex and SP3. What is the two weirdest belts ever in wrestling you know of? Hashtag Elite Good Egg. Hashtag Happy Holidays. Man, the weird belts is a question. SP3, I'll let you give your two favorites first.
Definitely number one is the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. That is like the creme de la creme to me. That just looks beautiful, and it has for years. That's part of the reason why it was, for me, for a very long time, the most prestigious title in all of professional wrestling, because it just always looks elegant and immaculate. So it's something that you really want to strive for. Second, I think I would have to go with either the NXT UK Championship. That one is that's the WWE's best title in my opinion, or not the winged eagle, the one that Austin had. That one, yeah, the bold eagle, I think they call it. But that one, I just love, and I also love Stone Cold's Smoky Skull belt. That was just one of my favorites as a kid. Weirdest looking belt, weirdest. The 24/7 title just looks weird to me. It's just it just looks very awkward and strange. Outside of that one, man, there was the WCW hardcore title that just looked weird to me.
A lot of people in the comments are saying about Jeff Hardy's TNA title.
Oh man, yes, that's a good shout. That's definitely a good shout, because when he introduced that title, it was like, this would come from Jeff Hardy. This looks like one of his art pieces at home.
I always hated John Cena's spinner title. Always hated it. I understand it, and I know it made both him and the company a shit ton of money, right? I just hated it. But that as your main title, and I feel almost like it's like a cornetism almost of mine coming on here. But for your main title, oh man, it sucked. It sucked. I hated it. Especially when other guys won it, and I hated that. Anyway,
I like the Edge one. I like the rated R spinner title. That was just, if you're gonna keep that title, at least have your own symbol on it. That just made sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, speaking of personalized ones, like, I wanted to like the Brahma Bull one, but I mean, wasn't the greatest. But
there's a reason he never really wore that when he was champion.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to Elizabeth Stallion. Lizzie Stallion, hot in the game. Here she is, paying my hard-earned cash to say SP3 wins today's debate even before it started, solely based on his excellent reindeer outfit. Elizabeth, I will not argue with that. That is grounds for a victory if I've ever seen one. Magnificent, she says. Also, happy Christmas, everyone. Oh, happy Christmas, Elizabeth Stallion. I don't know why I signed it off with a kiss, but you've got one now. Carol Wands. Here she is, the biggest heel in the game. Good afternoon, Alex and SP3. SP3 is adorable today. You're adorable every day, right, man?
Thank you.
I thought you were going to give me something else, but you took it as a heartfelt.
I'm like, beautiful Bobby Eaton, adorable SP3. That could be my moniker.
Yeah, that's it. Locked in. Sending a virtual hug because he looks so huggable. There you go, SP3. Go on, shoot one back to her. Go on, man. Be a good guy.
Virtual hug.
Alex, I loved the AJ Styles interview. Thank you so much. It was fantastic. To all the elite good eggs, have a Merry Christmas and stay safe. Hugs from my family to yours. Yes, everyone, feel this virtual hug of mine coming from the home of the McCarthys right now. My missus she's sending hugs. My kids are fucking around in bed sending hugs. I can hear them right now. I'm gonna get us demonetized because my kids don't know how to go to sleep. But anyway, that is obviously primary. I'm a big as you can tell, I'm a big Christmas guy. As you are, SP3. We got kids and stuff. So I hope that you all feel the same cheer that we are feeling right now. Someone is actually keeping. Come on, Mod Mother. Come on, Jenna. Like
that's 4.
Yeah. That's like you sound like a grass, Jenna. Come on now. Have my back here. Come on.
My mother is like the teacher, like swear jar.
Yeah. Because Vinny does the podcast, and every time I'm like, sorry, man, I might have dropped a little swear here today. And he's like, actually, you dropped like 3. I'm like, oh sorry, man. They don't like it. We did this last week as well. We've left ourselves like no time to debate an extremely expansive topic.
Hey, at least we don't have Quizlemania, so we can go a little bit over this week. That's
true. Yeah, if we want to. I mean, I've got some Warzone to play, man. I don't know what you think you're doing, but
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. I've got some dick swinging to do on Cyberpunk, of course.
That's fine.
Hey, yeah. Oh, dick. Come on, dick don't count. No way.
Yeah, that's true, because then I would have to put money in the square jar too.
Yeah, my character, man, it just swings. Just swings as I walks. Like it's like a trunk. Anyway, so we were talking about, and I want you guys to get involved in the comments, and I will bring up the best comments. We're talking about the 4 horsewomen. And obviously that means Sasha Banks, that means Bayley, it means Becky Lynch, it means Charlotte Flair, who is, and I believe this was SP3 who brought this to the table, who is the best right now, which is an extremely expansive topic. Extremely expansive, because you can make arguments about Becky Lynch's charisma and superstar aura. Like, she's frankly untouchable. The other 3 of them, Sasha Banks is probably the closest mainstream-wise now, but Becky Lynch is in another world compared to the other 4. In ring work, it's a different conversation. Many would have Becky Lynch maybe 4th on that list, right? Like, there's a lot to discuss. I said this to you, SP3, earlier. I feel like a lot of people would have Bayley as 4th on their list, which is actually a tragedy when you look at how talented she is across the board.
And I think I told you in response that if this was 2 or 3 months ago, I would say Bayley is the best because she's so well-rounded. She does everything well. And I think that something that, Charlotte and Becky Lynch don't do as well as both Bayley and Sasha is they haven't been able to really hit that peak at both alignments, which is as a babyface and as a heel. Becky is really great as a babyface, but hasn't really worked that much as a heel. And then Charlotte always is a heel, no matter if she's a babyface or not. It just seems that she always comes off as a heel. But Bayley and Sasha have both seen themselves really hit that apex as a babyface and a heel. Bayley's great in the ring. Bayley has some marketability. She's proven herself to be a ratings draw on SmackDown. So she is definitely well-rounded. Right now, and I said this to you as well, and I'll put it out there, my opinion on this probably changes by the day. Like I said, a couple of months ago, I would have said Bayley. A year ago, I would have said Becky, and anytime in the past 6-7 months, I would have said Charlotte. But right now, it's Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is the best because I feel like she gets A marks in the most categories out of all the four horsewomen. When it comes to her star power and mainstream appeal, being on The Mandalorian was something huge for her status as a WWE superstar, and just proving herself to be a ratings draw when it comes to SmackDown. The highest rated segment on SmackDown this year was her versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. She's a draw when it comes to merchandise. She's usually in the top 5 to 10 in merchandise sales. Yeah.
And she had the highest NXT rating this year as well.
Yeah. The Io Shirai match. Yes, I had a Great American Bash. She beat the demo god himself, Chris Jericho, head to head. So that just tells you that she is that type of draw when it comes to that part of it. When it comes to the in-ring, I feel like no one is better. I think the only one that competes with her is Charlotte, but just Sasha Banks's best matches, I think, hit another level and are kind of like game changers more than Charlotte Flair. I would say Charlotte Flair's best match is her and Becky in the Last Woman Standing match, while Sasha is the 2 matches with Bayley, whether it's this year's Hell in a Cell or Takeover Brooklyn. And that Takeover Brooklyn one, in my opinion, is the most impactful women's matchup. I don't know if you could say it's the best. It's up to your opinion. But when it comes to impact on the industry and how the WWE looked at their women's division, no bout is more impactful than Bayley versus Sasha from Takeover Brooklyn. I was in the building for that, and to see people cry, not only just regular people, but Seth Rollins in the front row crying tears watching a matchup, that's how much of an impact this match was. And when it comes to just everything, just the it factor, she has it. Her promo skills are on point. She's been able for a long time. I thought she wasn't able to really transition her promos from being a heel to being a babyface. It's kind of the issue that I have with Charlotte, where she comes off like a heel even when she's a babyface. Now Sasha has kind of got that too, where she's confident enough that it fits with the boss character, but she's still a babyface and she still has some appeal to her and makes some likability as a babyface. She plays both sides of the alignment very well. She's been able to help the performer she's in the ring with when it comes to Bayley, when it comes to Alexa Bliss. Some of her best matches was against Sasha, and those two women hated each other apparently at the time. So even people that she doesn't get along with backstage, she's able to elevate them. The latest example of that was Carmella on Sunday at TLC. So right now, in my opinion, the best horsewoman is Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack. I mean, you said about, by the way, Alexa. I mean, Alexa had great matches with Becky Lynch. They pretty much launched the SmackDown side of things. You know, also you didn't mention with Sasha, she had a great outing with Ronda Rousey, which wasn't always easy. You know, Ronda Rousey she had a great year, right? But I mean, a lot of her matches were designed for her, whereas I mean, they had a great match, which is a difference. I mean, I see a lot of people. To me, it's impossible to say. And obviously, I think at different times when different people are in the ascendancy and they're in their moments, then it's different people. Like early this year, I definitely would have said Bayley. To me, I maybe didn't even realize she was as good as she is in the ring as I saw this year in her exchanges with like Oscar and Kairi Sane and things like that. And I know that they're in there with great workers, but Bayley was. But, you know, she, no matter who she was in the ring with, and there was like pay-per-views in a row where it was just to get to where we eventually got to, and they just gave her, fed her challenges. She made all of them really good matches, all of them. She had a great year. I would say she's had a better year than Sasha Banks. I know Sasha Banks is where she is now, but I would make that argument, I think. I would. So, to me, it's a 2-horse race if we're doing this year, because the other two have just missed too much. And even if they hadn't, I very much doubt they could reach the levels. Charlotte was there for the first half of the Becky Sasha Bayley story. I just think that the work they did together was just immense. I don't think it can be touched. If there is a best, then who is the worst Alex Bacon Rasher? I haven't said who's the best or worst. I'm saying that they're all very good. I feel like you're taking this too personally, Bacon Rasher. It's very much This is what I'm saying. Like I've seen it different times as well, where Charlotte has just been on a tear and putting on great match after great match. And the same with Becky. I feel like a lot of people point to her superstar status rather than the matches, but she has had great matches. We talked about this earlier with Alexa Bliss. The whole disjointed elbow and all that. The Royal Rumble match with Asuka was great. The last woman standing with Charlotte was a match of the year contender at that point. I don't think you can just say, whatever. All four of them, to me, when it's all said and done, you could make the argument now that they are already the best four women in the history of WWE. You could seriously make that argument. And I mean that and basically all aspects. It's remarkable that they are like a collective of women who've come through at the same time and have elevated the game the way they have. Honestly, it's staggering when I actually sit back and think about it, that they've all come through the Performance Center at the same time and they kind of come together, and all of their best work is together as well, which is incredible. We still haven't really seen Bayley and Becky. I don't think we have never really had that. You've got them four. And again, I think a lot of people call Asuka like the fifth horsewoman sometimes because she's so close to it. But I still think that the four horsewomen, for the impact that they've done and their matches and their legacy, like I've seen the Tempest in the chat say that Asuka would be higher. Not for me, not for her impact on WWE. You can make the case. You can make the case that she's better, sure. But in no way has she made a bigger impact on WWE than the four horsewomen, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I'm one of the biggest Asuka fans. Like, I knew of her work from Kana, and I've seen her in the ring with the meanest Japanese grandfather in the game, Minoru Suzuki, and take the hits from Minoru Suzuki. So my respect for Asuka is immense. So I will never take anything away from her, but she just hasn't had that type of impact on the WWE as these four women. And a lot of that is down to not being allowed to. I mean, she had the long winning streak, but a lot of that was on NXT, and it just hasn't really. She had a great impact on NXT. I would argue if we were just talking about their impact on NXT, Asuka would probably be ahead of a couple of the ladies in the four horsewomen. But you have to look at the overall.
Did she have a match do you know what I mean though? She had a great run there, an entertaining run, but you said it yourself. Anything as impactful as that night from Bayley and Sasha Banks, you have to kind of weigh it all up. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big Asuka fan, but in the ring, again, she is incredible. I'm still devastated that Kairi Sane is no longer performing alongside her or in WWE, full stop. But I just think when the four horsewomen and what they have done, and people will argue that they've been put into the spots and stuff, and particularly Charlotte, right? Like, they've been given a lot more opportunities than other women and therefore have excelled. But I still think that if you look at their impact on WWE right now, that they are, and that is basically how you measure who is the greatest of all time in WWE, right? Then you have to look no further than the four horsewomen. And that doesn't mean, I still think Asuka is one of the best performers in the world of her generation. Probably will go down as one of ever. But I don't know. I have to hope that this run with Charlotte is going to result in something special for Asuka. I would love that to be the case. And I also think one of Charlotte's best matches ever, and I know people kind of hate the result, but it is with Asuka at WrestleMania 34. I was there. It was incredible. And that's the bottom line. Yes, the four horsewomen get chances. But when do they not knock it out of the park? That's always my argument for Charlotte as well. 99% of the time on pay-per-view, she kills it. And that's the bottom line. And that's why you put those people in the game. Like any other sport, you're going to put your big hitters, your big players in the big spots. But I take the point that there are many talented women around the world, but I just think as far as the four horsewomen go and what they've done on the main roster, and so the matches that have really, if you talk about, again, this will have to be something we do another time, but the top 5-10 women's matches in WWE history, how many do you think would feature at least one or two of the horsewomen?
think pretty much all of them. It would, especially if you throw Asuka in as the fifth Horsewoman. I think
it'd be a clean sweep.
Yeah. The top 10 would probably be all of them. Because, like I said, Bailey and Sasha will always be number one for me. Like, I love their match at Hell in a Cell, but I kept telling people, I was like, it's not that. It was very great. It was one of the WWE matches of the year. But just the impact of that Bailey versus Sasha on the people in the building, on what it did for the industry afterwards, and the respect level of women's competitors after that match, I just don't think anything will ever be that close. I think the only match that really comes close to it was the last woman standing match between Becky and Charlotte, because of that being on the all women's pay-per-view Evolution, because of what it did for Becky. And that, I think that, Becky's surge was already in the process, but that kind of solidified her as the top female star and really bolstered her star power when she beat Charlotte in that match. So that's the only one that kind of comes close for me, but everything else is kind of going to be second, third, fourth place.
Yeah, Tempest says probably 9 out of 10 matches if you're counting the main roster. Lita and Trish on Raw is still very great. And it is, I still feel Lita's neck to this day. That suicide dive was brutal. But it was a great match and a great moment. I don't know, Avondale says, I don't think this counts as a debate. It doesn't really. But we have found debates within the discussion, right? So it's debate-ish. That's the best. That's the best I've got for you on that one. Chris G with the hot take. Asuka gets her win back at Mania. That's what I'm hoping for. That's where I hope this all leads. Charlotte turn on Asuka, and down the road, Asuka finally gets the big win back. It's about time. And I'm a huge proponent of Charlotte Flair, but it's about time that there was some real payoff for some other people, because it feels like there's half payoffs here and there. People do forget, she gave Bailey her reign that lasted forever, right? Like Charlotte was the one who took to her and stuff like that. I would like it to be a real story where Charlotte wasn't like the end victor, or that someone really came out on top and moved forward, because it doesn't ever really feel like that happens. And I'm not blaming Charlotte for that. But it would be cool if it would be very cool if Asuka got that moment. So I think we can both agree that maybe right now Sasha Banks is enjoying the sun, and she's in that moment. It was Bailey earlier this year. When Becky comes back, it's going to be red hot. But I hope that whatever work Charlotte does with Asuka, whatever they do for this first part, the first quarter of 2021, I hope that's just going to set the Raw on fire, because it could do. It really, really could do. So yeah, that's basically what we're thinking about today. Uptown Avondale. Tomorrow's debate is Uptown Avondale and I debating what constitutes a debate.
Check that out.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a long one. Do we have any ultra chats? Let me check oh, we do. Oh, Matty the Hot Scott has snuck in at the last second. Just a quick ultra chat to say Merry Christmas, SP3, Alex, and comments. I assume he's given Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Hope you have a good day on Friday. No impression this week, but there will be a good one on the 4-person show. I'll drop a hint next week. But a great show, guys. Thank you, Matty. We appreciate you and your impressions. I'm just going to start doing random ones, SP3, in the shower, like Drew McIntyre.
I do a good Paul Bearer. Oh yes!
So loud. That was so loud in my headphones. For some reason, I didn't anticipate the high pitch, even though you said Paul Bearer. Oh Jesus! Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining us here on Wrestling Daily. Sorry we've overrun a little bit. We hope you've enjoyed it, and I will be back tomorrow with Stephanie Chase. And then, of course, we're off the rest of the week. But then we're back with the same sort of schedule next week. And it will be leading up to the year-ender, the awards, where everyone else is going to give their opinions. Now, there will be some debates Uptown Avondale. And we will be in our Christmas jumpers, all 4 Wrestling Daily hosts on one show.
blazer as well for the year-end awards. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to you, Alex. Merry Christmas to everyone watching. Really appreciate being a part of Wrestling Daily. You can also check out the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. We're almost at 1K, and that's my only Christmas wish. So everybody watching, go over there and subscribe.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I echo everything SP3 said. I hope you all have an amazing Christmas, and I know that I will see a lot of you tomorrow for Steph Chase, and I will reverberate those thoughts around once again. We really do appreciate all of you here on Wrestling Daily. I certainly do. Not that SP3 doesn't. So thank you so much for joining us once again, and we will see you tomorrow.